Okay.
Welcome to another FACEHAMMER episode. It's me, Russ the Face. I'm joined by my good buddy and Carnage champion, Byron Ord. Show us your fist. Ooh, where's Alex's fist? That is a small hand. Yeah, I think that definitely is not the size of his hand.
I don't know. Next to my ham fist, it looks pretty delicate, doesn't it?
Don't know.
But yeah.
Yay, well done.
Spoiler. That was a
spoiler. Yeah.
What's going on there? Don't practice, peeps. It's a waste of time.
And don't
know what you're doing.
Don't take Galatian veterans. Don't take a purple sun. Don't pay attention.
I took a purple sun, but not in the sense that I wanted.
No one wants that. It's very spiky.
It's awful.
So this show we're going to talk about the Carnage event that Byron attended. I unfortunately am still COVID positive at the moment for some reason. I've still got a bit, so if I cough and stuff, sorry, but I had to miss the event because I got COVID from my parents.
If you got a picture of your army, because it was a crying shame that it didn't get to come to the event, you put quite a lot of effort in the day before you found your positivity, right?
Yeah, I did. I painted the obligatory purple sun and also my bone shaper that's here that's been sat in a box for ages. And the purple sun, this is before I did more work on the base, but I'm quite happy with how it came out. But I
think it really shows that's not a minimum level purple sun on assembly or on painting. It looks amazing. And what it does for your army in the group shot, I think, is nuts. It is ironic that it looks like Corona.
Well, the irony is that that's what my stepson was saying. He was like, "Oh, I like the big virus looking thing." I was like, "Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, so did my body." But yeah, so I painted up the sun. So I did a series of airbrushing. I used like the monument paints, like purple, and I just mixed and then just did mixes and airbrushed to do. But then what I did is I washed it back down because I had like a purple spray from Colourforge that I did. I think I did two-tone. One's like a vampire one, and it's like a crimson, and then I did a.
Okay.
I mean, it's like I can't remember what it's called. And then I did the Imperial Purple. And then what I did is I airbrushed like black and purple mix in the recesses, like around, not avoiding the spines. And then I airbrushed out the stuff and then dry brushed, and then I kind of re-airbrushed that back down again and then dry brushed.
Quite a lot of effort, isn't it?
So it's so much stuff is
seen from all sides. Like you've got all these spines coming out that are going to get seen from every angle.
It's really hard because you kind of got to like rotate it and then like fire across and then rotate and fire across, but not like get tempted to move the airbrush because you end up with like
hitting the blob.
Yeah, and I wanted to do the ground splurge in a color that matched my army because a lot of my endless spells in my death army are like my night haunt scheme, and I wanted to have something to tie it in because I didn't want to do the whole thing like a ghost thing. So I kind of wanted it to be purple because I thought it would really do a lot for the army when it's set up.
Yeah,
because it's so big.
And it's an aggressive shape, right? Like you can't not look at that.
It's like having something that's like purple and big and bright. It draws your eye, and then you start looking at stuff. I was going to highlight all the cloth and everything. I just didn't have time. And I did on my bone shaper. I did actually highlight the robe up. Which you can't really see in the photo, but yeah, so I was a bit bummed because I sat and painted everything. I was like, right, got everything ready, got the case, packed the army, all in my army case, put my IDNF in the cabinet, and then it was like, I met up with my parents for a meal in the pub, and then they'd been on holiday, but they were fine and they had nothing. And then literally like Friday, I was like, feel a bit, I think it was Thursday. I think Thursday my mum and dad were like, yeah, we're positive. And then I was like, shit. And then I went over to get a test off them. And I got a positive test on Friday. And I was just like, well, can't really go then, can I? So
sad times. You get to bring it out next time. And maybe next time you will have done the additional steps. So you'll bring out basically like a double leveled up.
Yeah, it's a shame. I wanted to fly the flag for OBR and just have a bit of a laugh. Yeah, like the most consistent purple sun. But I got Blackout coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'll probably take it to that because I don't think it's a very competitive list, but I kind of want to use it.
You've done all the working out in your head as well. You haven't closed that book yet, have you?
No, I haven't. I haven't scratched the itch. So, plus I've got a bit of time, so I might better go over and do some highlighting on the army. So it'd be nice to get somewhere in the painting. Yeah, I just need to dedicate some time to it, and it's one of those things that I want to do it, but as soon as you start, you kind of got to do everything.
Yeah, unless you did command first, or sneak it through.
Got to start with a big hat first. So I think the first thing I'd do is highlight all the banners and the cape on the Liege Cavalos, and then that's because that's the most prominent purple areas when you look at the army setup.
Yeah.
And then I'd actually, that probably on its own would be enough to lift the army quite a lot.
Yeah, it's optional whether you do the rest of it.
And then what I would probably do is then and the cloth on the stalkers. And then probably what I would do is go to Arcan and upscale him, the Cavalos, and the Mortars and Bone Shaper, Soul Mason. And then almost like work down from like character elite down. I think as well, like a little bit of work on the armor on the Bone Scythe Nexus would do a lot to lift the army as well.
Yeah,
because it's one of the things I was tempted to do is highlight all the weapons in like because the original plan for them is to do it in like a ghostly green edge, something like Cyberite, Carbide green or whatever it is.
Right, yeah.
And or I might actually mimic the basing a little bit, and use like lubrical. But anyway, so
or Gauze Blaster, that's the other one that I was thinking of.
Yeah, so basically like a greenish blue rather than blue black, because I've already got the blue on the armor, and I don't want to kind of step on those toes. So I was thinking if I make the weapons like super edge highlighted, that's going to add a point of brightness and kind of add a level
across the lot,
across the whole army. Yeah, so that
doesn't take too long.
Probably be the next thing I do actually.
Yeah, just get into the zone for it, and then probably an hour and done.
Well, I did it when I was commissioning. A guy wanted me to tidy up all the weapons on his OBR, and he gave me like
I remember,
like 12 more what are they called? Morghasts. So I did all their weapons in like a couple hours, but it made a big difference really. So
it's a bit of a sweaty couple of hours to concentrate in, but once it's done, it's done. It's like any freehand, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately the OBR didn't get to play, so
another day.
Yeah, hope so. But yours did, and you got your armor.
I got to play with mine, and
yeah, looked very nice.
Thank you. Normal last minute rush. I reckon this is the most successful speed job I've done. It was still have the timer here, so it was 31 minutes and 53. Sorry, there.
31 hours. I was
going to say minutes.
That 31 minutes.
Yeah, 31 hours, 53 minutes and 28 seconds. For the army, I did get to borrow a rogue idol amongst that. So
yeah, because that was something you did before, isn't it?
And that was. I mean, I guess we should probably say that the starting point was I didn't have much time, and I did submit a different list. I wanted to play with Kragnos. Kragnos is busy and he's hectic, and he's got a fancy base, and I don't love the models, bit of a love-hate relationship, but I've got some ideas for how I'd like to bring him up. Like maybe I was going to paint him like a horse, like a Native American horse. Like you get the Palomino ones, the dappled ones.
Yeah, they painted them as well, didn't
really
they?
Cool.
They put like
and his armor. I'm still on the fence about whether I want his armor on him or not. So I couldn't make my mind up in a short amount of time, and he's complex. So I ditched him.
It's almost like you hadn't had the time to have the thinking on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's been prepped really carefully. That takes a long time with Kragnos as well, because he's got crap everywhere. There's just all of these things to sand off and overfill. So I didn't want to rush him. I'd already done one cabbage. Terry actually sent me another cabbage. I didn't use the cabbage. It didn't arrive in time for me to use his well-built one, but his rider was built. That saved a bit of time. Everything was important. And then I had to rifle through my characters and see what I had available. If I'd had 3 War Shunters, I would have used 3 War Shunters, but I didn't. And then I turned up on the day and said to Alex, like, I've submitted the list with the weird knob shaman. I have this little goblin model. Like, I can use it as a goblin, or I can use it as that. You pick. I wasn't taking the event very seriously.
No. Turns out
so
that's probably the right approach for Warhammer at the moment.
Yeah.
Just don't take it very seriously.
No, completely. I was pleased with how it looked. The armor's done in a way where I just repeat a wash step literally like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So like
it
remove your
really
brain.
works with metallics. Like I did when I did my Nurgle, I painted it just silver, and then I just did 4 wash steps. And then I dry brushed it up, and then I did another wash step, and then I dry brushed it again. So it's almost like you go up and down, up and down, up and down until you
pretty much
get
exactly
this interesting palette of color.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, you get natural looking variation. I didn't want my orcs to have
and patchy washing is kind of good for that, because you're going to tidy it up afterwards, but you kind of want the color variation in patches.
Yeah. So because you don't any one mistake you make, it's not 100% visible. It's 20% visible if it was opaque, which it wasn't because it's a wash. So you get away with absolute murder hid between there and like.
It just adds like variation. Like if you look at like anything in outside, like walls or anything, you actually like really look. You can see staining and differences and colors and mismatching brick colors or whatever. That that it's never looks one. It's never one color clean, It's like unless you've just painted it, So
absolutely, the cabbages came out solidly as well. Obviously, they get a lot of attention.
I would have. I don't know whether I know you've done one with like white spines and one with black spines. I really prefer the one with black spines.
Yeah, so did Andy. And the white. I did the white one first, and the wash didn't come out well. I should have varnished the model. I used Monuments Protocol white to get the spines to go light fast. It's a very matte paint, and washes behave not great over matte.
No, they don't like it, do they?
Yeah, no. So I changed on the second one for that reason, and it saved time.
Also, if you think about just color in general, you've got white, yellow, and black. It's kind of it kind of works, right? Hazard stripes, bees, wasps.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like I was looking at going, I think it'd be really benefit from some patterning on the beast. Like if you did it in like a Rhinoxy red, brown, black color and do some like tiger stripes. I know it sounds bonkers, but
no, I tried to do that actually initially. So the way I did it was all sprayed the new white, which is phenomenal. By the way, the new white spray is insanely good. It's the best one they've ever done by a country mile. So it's by the time I got to the second one, it was grey kind of all over, white from above, but a lot of white, covering the vast majority of it. Then I took Caribou Crimson and I just blobbed all the areas that were going to be dark badly, like up and down the spines, like any areas where it was going to be deep. Then washed the entire thing with the phenomenal, what's it called? Imperial Fist Contrast.
Oh, okay, right.
Which is nuts all over. Just don't let it pull too much, but you don't.
Is that a new one?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Because I haven't used them. I've got a box of them. And I haven't.
It's really good. Imperial Fist is great. Apparently, the other one is great also.
There's a very yellow, I think.
Yeah, there's a very, very important step, which is the new Sepia plus a bit of the Caribou Crimson. Literally like 9-1, 8-1, only a bit of the Crimson because the Sepia is pathetic. And that goes all over. And then rather than like happy clappy yellow, which is still too yellow in the recesses, of which there's a lot on the cabbage, the wash runs into there, deepens it, warms it a bit, and you get this. That takes an hour over an entire cabbage, and your cabbage is basically done at that point. It's an amazing way to be. There will be an AO tutorial if people are interested in it. I did a quick dry brush all over before I did the wash step after the contrast as well.
I mean, they are like the cabbage is for me. It's like one of the. I see cabbage. The Maw Crusher is one of the favorite beasts I've painted, and I found the beast super easy. And the thing that took the time was actually the rider.
The spines or the straps. That takes as much time as the rest of the entire huge thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just used rattle cans, and I think I used TT Combat's. They've got like this green. It's called like orc flesh or something like this. It's like a really like vibrant green. And then I used Death Guard green from GW. And then I use on the underbelly, I use something called like Strigoi Flesh, which I think is like one of the TT Combat ones. Basically, like it was just cream underneath, dark green, dusted with light green, cream underneath, and then literally just dry brushed it and washed it, and then it was done. It was like, okay, cool.
It's so good. I I've got 2 more in the house. Like,
I've got 2.
I might just take a go not racing on them. I think there's going to be somewhere, if I put enough thought into the sequencing, there will be a way to do the stripes or animal vibes in a way that works really well, efficiently, and is fun.
Yeah.
So they could definitely be better, but they were.
I mean, I still look great. I just think
one.
that, like, you know, obviously, if you put more time into something, you can add more. And I think as a creature, as like like a living thing, they have lots of these like patterning, modeling,
more variants
of stuff, like even like round like the nose or the ears, like pink bits or like lighter color bits and stuff like that.
I think I could probably retrofit it. I don't know whether I'd start another one again or I'd retrofit it.
I think
it was
just work on top of these. Like,
it was 4 to 5 hours for the first one and 3 to 4 for the second. So they've not had too much time.
No, I mean, you don't need to start a new one from scratch. You could just literally go in.
But Russ, I've got 2 in the house.
All right, do what you want. It's fine. You could.
They're both built as well.
Yeah, I take it the wings are just pushed on.
That one isn't Terry's. I'm not sure. I think Terry's might pull.
Because mine, I just clip the wings, so where they are.
It's great kit for it.
You can pull them off,
and then you just like pull them off.
Yeah,
like opening.
Because when I airbrush mine, the head and the 2 wing bits were separate.
Yeah, my head's still not glued on. Just pulled it off and pushed it on.
Pulled his head off.
Yeah. And then there's I guess should I run down the list?
I mean, it's pretty basic, but yeah, you can talk about the artifacts and stuff. It's probably a good idea.
Absolute basic bit. So, I mean, I guess I should probably preface this bit with, like, if people expect me to say amazing things about, like, I won an event, I'm super happy with it. I had a great time at the event. I had wonderful opponents at the event. This edition's just ridiculous on the majority of levels.
Because this was the first time you played the new handbook, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And from reading it, I knew that, like, that is too much stuff that is too consequential at once, on top of all of the layers, of which there are far too many in this edition of the game as it stands anyway. I can't deal with a certain amount of information, which is basically how much information there was in AOS 1, which is why I was good at it, instead of just getting lost and can't remember anything. It's got a dopey head. So all I did was I turned up to the event and I didn't maximize stuff for winning. I maximized stuff for minimizing decisions. Didn't want to interact with any of the stupid rules I don't like because I can't remember them. They just won't go in and I will not have a good time and I'll be exhausted. So I turned up with a rebellion army, which just kills things and that's it. And I wanted to turn up, drink, have fun, see some people not seen for, bloody years, forever. And, have some smashy turns. And I wanted my games to not take too long. So after playing with Nurgle, the games go to like round 4 or 5 frequently. You like grind it out. So I turned up and I think I spoke to you beforehand and I said, all I can do is I'm going to turn up and I'm going to try and maximize smashing and bashing. That's it. So
it's the right way to play the army. Like when I played Ironjawz at Carnage like a year ago, that's all I did. And like the point is you just ignore everything and all it becomes about when do I use like fast and then the Noir and my combo charges and smashing and bashing to table my
allocation.
Opponent.
Yeah,
and then you just don't care about anything else. And then don't care about battle tactics. You're not trying to be cute. You're like, and then I found by turn 2, I'd either tabled my opponent or I was so far up they couldn't come back.
Yeah,
or I'd lost, which didn't only happened in one game.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much how it felt for me. Your sequencing is incredibly important. Your allocation is unbelievably important. Like if you try and get cute and split too much and don't wipe out a unit, your army may as well not exist at that point. So the list ended up Mega Boss and Maw Crusher, General, Arcane Tome. Such a stupid choice, isn't it? That was there nearly as much as Purple Sun was at the event. Arcane Tome, I think it's Weirden or Master the Weird or something like that. You pick something within 6 inches, friend or foe or yourself. And I don't think you can pick. You have to do it. So either you're casting a spell, hurting something, or you're not casting a spell. D3 mortal wounds on that. Any wounds that get through successfully, importantly, because if you save them, they don't count. You add that value to your casting value. Rip Tooth Fist. That's it. He had Smellion, which I rate highly and I've never not used.
Did you take? Sorry, just I was zoned out a bit. Did you take? I blame COVID brain. You took Flaming Weapon on him. No. What spell did you take? Bash him, lads. That's it. Yeah, the +1 to wound bubble.
Yeah, because you can't misplay it because it's a massive bubble on a massive base. So,
big
brain, dumb brain. Well, I know how small my brain is. A normal cabbage, vanilla, nothing, because I don't have anything left over.
No destroyer.
No, play without destroyer, which is interesting. That's why I wanted 3 war chances. No, wanted 3 war chances. Didn't have 3 war chances. Had 2, so ended up going for 2 war chanters, the Healy one and the 3d6 chargey one. I don't need +1 to hit because that's always going to be up permanently. If it's not, I'm playing the army wrong. And Weird Knob Shaman with a teleport spell, used basically once in my final game in an important manner. Like,
so the Goblin was a Weird Knob.
Yeah, could have been a Fungoid Shaman. Would have been better if it was a Fungoid Shaman for how I played my list.
I was going to say,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
3 times 5 Art Boys minimum. Cool. They're great. They're incredibly good for their points. 1985, and just run at your opponents 3 drops.
Did you get Basham Lad off a lot?
Tons.
Because you got the plus from the ability, but you also got the bonus from the idol.
Yeah, so you're on D3 +1 for an 8 cast. That's way different to an 8 cast with even +1 or a reroll. And the most important thing is you're looking to not both get it off, but get it off and have your opponent not stop it.
And what were you pinging with the damage? What were you doing on? You were doing it on the enemy, I assume, at some point. But
no, I wasn't at them. I was hitting my. I hit my war chanter, and then he healed himself.
Right.
Yeah, because he's not got a ward save. You could hit the rogue idol, but then if he saves one, the way that the spell's worded, you don't get any that are safe.
Yeah.
So it's the wounds that are done. So yeah, he just
ward save's optional,
and leg it off. Don't ask a question actually.
Pretty sure
the rogue idol. Yeah, could be. And then you just leg it off, and the rest of your army's behind you. You destroy a cabbage, rogue idol. You war chant the 2 most important ones. Rogue idol does reroll 1s to hit in a turn it's charged.
Right.
That's incredibly
really
important
good.
for reliability.
Particularly if you're at +1 to hit and +1 to wound.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's like best day ever, always.
Yeah. Not only that, but he's got reach 2 and 3, and cabbages have reach 1 and 1. So he was doing a lot more work than people thought.
Plus, he's got the all-important oval point base.
Wonderful. Because it's really good for.
You can see from the picture how he's wedged between the 2. You can actually get him in a smaller point because
completely. You just deliver this little damage.
Plus, if he stood next to a cabbage, that severely limits the amount of stuff that can actually hit the cabbage.
Completely, yeah. He was. So with there's a couple of things that are important for maximizing damage. You war chant him. Everyone's war chanted until your next hero phase. Your Iron Sun, so you can charge in your opponent's next turn. And it's if he's charged this turn, not if it's your turn and he's charged. So the Rogue Idol, I tried to leave out in order for him to be able to, if he was going to wipe stuff out, he was the one that was available for the counter charge, because then he charges in. Again, I'm on 2s and 2s, re-rolling the first 2s. So he was pretty reliable. War, first turn, pretty much every game. I think in 1 I didn't, because I was being patient with it. Because my opponent had just wiped me out with Marathi. So
did you often go first, or did you?
Yeah.
So you took the first turn, used Mighty Destroyer, got in position, charged, called the war, smashing and bashing, did as much damage as you possibly could.
Everything, yeah.
And then in there go, I assume, whichever one is the most vulnerable, you best day ever, right?
Yeah, exactly that. CPs were used a lot. A Fungoid would definitely be a good choice in it. And I just didn't use the teleport because I was YOLOing them in. It's useful in Longwise games. I have my Longwise, that came up in the final game. But it's just a fun instrument. You run into people, into their faces. They can't screen unless they've double screened, which people didn't do. Or they don't have enough units to do in this edition because they're one of these big blocky ones or whatever. And then you try and get through stuff, use your pile in as well, use your 6-inch and 5-inch threat range with the idol. to your maximum ability rather than the 4-inch threat range from the cabbages. And they're awkward as well because they're not a skateboard. You just can't fit them in as easily.
Yeah.
The bobs are quite hard to maneuver with.
I lost a game when I played with it the first time because I misjudged the size of the base because I'm so used to
Huge.
playing with Terrorgeists and like zombie dragons. I just assumed that gap was big enough because I do a lot of stuff by eye, and I was playing against Joe, and I saw this gap and stuff. I played my turn, and I just didn't check, and I was like, actually, the base is just bigger than I thought, and I was like, oh, that's really going to cost me the game, and I completely misplayed it. So like, you know, because with the Ironjawz, you set up like the combo turn. If you mess that up, you basically lose. And I lost against Marathi bow snakes because I messed that up. So it was like
hard. I nearly lost against it. Some mistake will come to, I guess. Yeah, that's the army, and you run at your opponent dead fast, hit him as hard as possible. Original version with Kragnos, I think probably is better because of his objective play. Some people won't be able. Yeah. Some people won't be able to deal with him after your turn 1 when you've killed the main
Plus
threat
3d6
anyway.
charge is kind of big, right?
3d6 counter charge in Iron Suns. Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I like the cuteness of the idol. Like I kind of like you don't have him. I mean, he's immune to instant death as well. So in Purple Sun edition, it's good, right? So
yeah,
because
that would have been helpful.
Yeah,
and he's got a tiny base.
Because Black Hole Sun just ruining everything.
It is. That's the army and the idea behind it. I just went for as low drops as possible, and that was my plan. And the things I concentrated on, who charged where, allocations, and the stuff that I got wrong was me preparing for the next turn with zones. Like I ended up having to use 6s on War Chanters to get them in range to get the 3d6 charge off, or having to Mighty Destroyers them to get them to catch up.
Because you almost have to do stuff like on the first turn, like run them into a certain position where you can get into buffable range. You can actually keep using them properly. So
which is why you want CPs there. Which you know, there was when I could give my opponent first without worrying about it, which I did my first game against Steve. It does make a really big difference. That +1 CP makes you feel so much less vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because you spend for all-out defense really efficiently in the army and stuff like that if you're scared about it as well.
And you didn't think about taking Warlord then for the extra artifact, the extra CP, because you, with your army setup, because I take it you've got Unified, right? Which is with 1 drop, which is what, 1 sub commander, 1 big one.
So the 1 War Chanter and the general cabbage on in the 1 drop.
Right, because do you have to have two sub commanders in the 1 drop, or is it just 1?
You have to have 1, but you can go up to 2.
Because you've got literally what's needed for Elise Command Entourage, which is just a big hero, and your army would still be a 4 drop.
Yeah,
and then you could actually take another artifact. Or
and they're good on the cabbage. Then you would have Destroyer, which would be absolutely obscene.
Because you have a big commander and 2 sub commanders, so that's the 3 drop, and then everything else fits into 1 drop.
Yeah. That would make sense. I was like, I wanted to be having the decision over who went first, because if I faced anyone with decent range, high quality shooting, or potential mortal wound damage, which is bloody everywhere with Skaven list, which people are just copy and pasting.
So you were a 3 drop, right?
Yeah.
So you could increase your drop by 1 and get an artifact. So
which not a bad option. Definitely not a bad option. If I did that, I would probably jiggle around, maybe even drop the Weird Knob Shaman and have 4 units of battle and just have another screen in there.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it then, though, because you wouldn't have enough heroes.
You'd have 1 less character. Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to reduce the number of heroes. But yeah, it's interesting. So I just find it funny because we talked about it and it was like, just ignore all this bounty hunters, veterans, conquerors, missions, and just cabbage people, which I think it's funny, but it's not funny at the same time. But
it's what you do. Like a new Magic set comes out, you don't understand it, so you play the aggressive red deck.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just play like aggro red because it works the same every time. Lots of one mana cost fast creatures and some direct damage spells, and
entirely
get up early. That's it.
What's your defense? I hope that you're dead.
I hope you're dead by turn 3.
Yeah, exactly that.
Then I don't need to worry about battle tactics. Cool. So obviously, like, we know you won, did well, nice army, good concept. So you played some games. So we're not going to go through step by step every game, but we will talk about ones you're interested in. So I got some photos. It's a bit erratic. So what did you play first?
Steve with his pretty death. I'm not going to play Steve before. Gorgeous army. Really
is that with the Gargant that you've got with all the wounds and stuff on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous looking
Really
army.
nice.
Never got to play Steve before, so super happy to play him. And like holding mind at this point, I turned up having not played the edition, just expecting to or hoping to play nice people, have some drinks, and kill some stuff. I checked. The only thing I checked in the pack before attending was if there was a most bloodthirsty award, and there wasn't, which I was a bit disappointed at. So that was going to be my aim for the weekend. So
yeah, I think because you don't really count kill points anymore, do you? Because they're not used for anything. So
I did all right for them, if they had been recorded. So Steve had a pretty cool army. It looked huge. He had the mercenary giant, vampire lord, and zombie dragon. A bunch of little baby heroes all doing stuff, including the one who can bring back some zombies for a CP reliably. 2 times 20 zombies, 1 times 20 graveyard, unit of black knights, and some Felbats. I think that's about it. He took first, moved up, didn't move up too aggressively, screened a bit, could have screened more, and he'd asked me about my list before the game, and I said, well, he asked like no destroyer or fasten or stuff like that, and I said, well, basically there's I'm
boards are too small. You just don't need it anymore.
Yeah,
like the boards are tiny.
The moment you're long ways out, you miss it though. I would have had it then. So I just said, oh, I've got this kind of combo. I'm gonna try and make stuff reliable, and then try and beat stuff up in combat. And he took me through it because I not played the edition at that point. Did some techie stuff, and then I did my thing. I got off Ashen Lads on like an 11 or something like that. He was so close to me that I wasn't worried about stuff not being in range of my back lines and my front lines. I just mashed into his face, nearly managed to, which I didn't get off once all weekend, get the impact hits off on his Velbats after I'd shot them and get to double charge.
Right.
And do impact hits twice. Just never comes up.
No.
And then with the War Chanters on the right things, my dice went really well. I didn't roll any ones. I rolled like 1 to hit out of the 3 monsters. One of them was re-rolling ones, but I should have had it somewhere.
I've got a picture where you've got like your 3 monsters, nothing, and then some stuff on the one side, which I guess is everything died, which was there. And I was assuming there was like a vampire lord and zombie dragon there and some stuff, and it's all gone. Yeah. And all he's got left is like 5 black knights, some grave guard, and a giant.
Yeah, that was end of turn 2, so it was pretty smashy. I think he won priority, took it, and then I got to try counter charge, failed it, but my stuff wasn't in combat anymore, so Mighty Destroyers move over and charge in. So it was a really big victory, and he kind of damaged me the game, which I really appreciated. Also, he was as good as everyone's always said he would be as an opponent. So I've never got to play him before.
Oh right, yeah, Steve's awesome. So
wicked. So I'd won, and then game 2 was, this one was ridiculous. So I played Luke on stream, who's the most organized player I've ever played against. It just makes it super relaxing. He's mega clear. Had this gorgeous Sylvaneth army with a pastel pink leaves on it. There's not pictures of this one. He had an army that like picks a thing, deletes it, picks thing, deletes it, picks thing, deletes it. It's got 6 Colonels with bows, Alariel, and then all the Wood Elf nonsense. Flying things. It's not a load of bugs or anything like that. It's a pretty classic looking army.
I think I've got a picture. Did he get a nomination?
He did.
Did he have a Lariel on like a big mausoleum thing?
Massive.
Yeah, I've got a picture. Hang on, let me just get it up.
Good job.
So
it's a lovely looking army. Couple units of tree revs. I think I did a defensive best day ever for the cabbage that was in range of most of his shooting. Turn 1. Did an all-out defense. It worked pretty well. The idol could take a few shots, but it's got a ward. And then I did the same thing that I'd done against Steve, and rolled into him. I had a hugely damagey turn 1, cascaded through stuff, managed to kill a unit, so I got to fight 3 times before he'd fought. Took a little bit of damage left, but not much. In his turn, there wasn't much he could do. He just had like a Lariel and a couple of bow hunters left, really. We then spent 5 games where I tried to chase him around the table to get Alex's objective. It just it was ridiculous. It wasn't like a normal game Warhammer. This one was on stream, and I felt a bit bad about it because it was so confusing.
Was it like Benny Hill music playing over the background?
Absolutely ridiculous. And trying to catch Sylvaneth when I don't want to be caught, and trying to get them to kill a hero and they don't want to kill it. Really, really, really tricky. My hero ended up alive on 1 wound, and it couldn't be done. So that was pretty smashy. Game 3. Oh, this was the horrible one. You got a picture of Marathi, please, Russ?
Yeah. Let me swap over. So
I
apologise I couldn't zoom in on that because I'm looking at Twitter. But if you go and look at Alex's Twitter, which is at AJ Ghost Arm, he's got pictures of all the best army nominations, and you can look at yourself, zoom in, save, and whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Check out Luke's stuff. He paints a load of armies for other people as well. He sounds like a bit of a saint. There are 4 armies there that had units that he painted, including some that he painted the evening before.
I've got so I've got a blurry picture. I've got a picture of Marathi bow snakes, a cabbage. Yeah, okay, cool. I think this is probably the picture you need.
Yes, this is playing Richard.
If your idol looking like he's aping between 2 big rocks, which is funny.
Oh. So this game was I looked at the army and was like, that's like a Marathi army with a couple of extra screens in it. It's going to come up as like this defensible blob, and then at some point when things are closer, it'll launch out Marathi and the snakes.
Were you playing this way?
The poop. Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
I know. It'll scare the poop out of me. So I asked him what his maximum threat ranges were and stuff like that, and basically put down my stuff. So, like, because I had to be so far away from the snakes that I was actually decreasing the chance of me getting charges off, which is catastrophic for the army.
Yeah.
Like, not a good idea at all. You get +1. It makes a bit of a difference, but not that much. So I set up, and to leave things with like 5, 6, or 7 inch charges on some stuff that was the stuff that I did want to charge, I essentially had to leave Marathi with a 10-inch charge. Tempting, but maybe not a good idea to take.
Yeah.
But it is Marathi. Anyway, Richard gets off everything, including some fucking crazy invocations that are really, really, really strong in his first turn. Shuffles a little bit.
That arcane thing.
Yeah. Because I got everything off. She's off. She pops. Went in. 7 fail. Burn the CP on a reroll. Gets in. He'd already done 6 mortal wounds to my general cabbage with Black Horror.
Right.
Which feels bad because it's D6, 5 or 6 D6 wounds, and then he got 6. Yeah, straight through. And he just pooped him. Rogue Idol went in, did 3 wounds, as it would do. My turn, I had to run the Rogue Idol away. And I have only 1 cabbage left. I just sent it in right into his GUI center with the express intent of getting into a position where I can pile into the snakes to force them to shoot that. And I had to win priority. I did win priority. So he got another turn of piling in and, basically munching on some snakes. Big thing that kind of skewed this game after I lost my general that feels like 50% of my army because the spell goes down and stuff like that, was that my remaining cabbage 2 turns in a row did 3 wounds to baby Marathi with the 4 shots that it has.
Yeah.
They're 2s and 3s for rend 1, damage 1. He got unlucky on his... I got lucky to wound, and then they went through, and then he got unlucky to save. She can't take after saves. And then we got to a point where I got to countercharge her with a load of boys, and that was enough. Killed Baby Marathi. Baby Marathi popped. I was in his GUI center, and that was that. I really thought I was pooped in that game. Because Marathi's a really difficult thing for the army. His range damage is quite good. You can pick stuff and bully it. And kind of pulled that one back. My cabbage that survived as well. This is just a huge amount of luck that I'm reeling off here. So I don't need much credit for winning this game. Like when it wasn't even unlucky to lose my cabbage. Once Marathi got in, it had already taken 6 wounds. It was going to be dead. Nothing you can do about that. She was properly tooled up and generating extra hits and stuff like that. My cabbage had basically damaged something in every single round of combat. So I think he finished on +5 wounds, and he'd taken 4 more wounds than he had on his profile. So he was alive on 1 wound. A defensive best day ever. I didn't have any spells left. I all out defensed always on him, and I just didn't roll ones. So, you know,
that's what you got to do sometimes, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, I had some really bad luck, but it was swiftly followed by damage Baby, you know, multiple times. So I didn't have to put any attacks into her and split them. That meant that I killed more snakes. There was less snakes left alive. When they shot me, they didn't get as many mortals. You know, it was just a lot of lucky stuff that kind of stacked up to counter the bad luck of me getting pooped turn 1. Maybe I should have given him an 11-inch charge instead of a 10, but still, I don't know if I'd change that decision, because
I mean,
he did what I wasn't expecting. That's how you win games.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, but the irony of it is, if he hadn't got the buffs off, he wouldn't have done it. If he had probably if he had an 8-inch charge, so it's sometimes you get things like that happen in a game, and people just flip on what they're going to do, and you're just like, well, just see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's literally like, if I hadn't got one of all of these things that I just tried to get Marathi off, I probably wouldn't do this, but I'm going to go for it. I think it's a bad idea, and I was like, please don't make it in. I am screwed. So yeah, that was that. So finish the game on.
That's when you say yes. I just, even with the bus, mate, I'm not sure I'd be doing that. That's when you start the like, you know, the mind games.
She was so scary. The thing is, because she went into the guy next to Rogue Idol, I got 3 wounds in his first turn. If I'd not got those, maybe I wouldn't have won the game. You don't know. So I will I'll absolutely take it. Finish the first day on a very surprising, healthy looking total. And of course, had no drinks and went to bed early.
So much for getting drunk and having fun, right?
Is there oh no.
I'm winning. Oh, better.
Is that the picture of the champagne bottle?
Oh, I haven't got that, no. I've literally got the ones you sent me, but yeah, I know the
people don't need it. It's not very flattering anyway. I have plenty to drink. Just presuming that
you did drink, then you would be in sarcastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll just presume that I'd be pooped the next day anyway, and I was having a really great time. Didn't know who I had the next day. Didn't look. Thought it might be Skaven, and that would be awful if it was a thing. I
think you were
or it might be Fire Slayers,
right? Because I think there's a picture of you on Alex's Twitter feed where you're on the stream playing Fire Slayers.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So I rocked up. Craig's a really nice chap. Not got to play him before.
He is a nice guy, actually.
Take a moment to talk about his list, actually, because I think the Fire Slayer book is incredibly competent. I think it's written really well. We actually chatted about this when we recorded with Alex, didn't we?
Yes.
I think if you want to make that book fun, you got to try, and you got to understand it, and you got to net list, and you have got to not spam things. As a result, I would be super happy to play with his list, and was happy to play against it. 3 Magma Drafts. One of them's got the once for 1 phase 3-up ward, so it's like Go Trick Edition. Do plenty of damage, couple of units of battle line that's super fighty, some characters and some options. I looked at it. I was going to get the chance over first or second. I think he was 4-drop, so it felt relevant there. Oh no, he's loads actually. I think he was like 9. Completely misremembering. And this was another one where luck was quite important, because I looked at the matchup and was like, oh, this is fine. And I thought about it for a second. Realize that Magmadross do mortal wounds back to you when you hit them, and you know, every Magmadross I kill is going to do 7 mortals back to whatever hits it, unless it's a Rogue Idol. And if you don't kill the thing that you're hitting, and you don't cascade smashing and bashing, that's enough for someone to just be like, cool, I picked that one, it's dead. I picked that one, it's dead. You got quite a good shooting attack they can use as stand and shoot when you charge. It's actually pretty scary. I looked at it and was like, screw this. I don't know what's going to happen. This is going to be difficult. I'm going first and I'm going to run into it. So I did that. Ran into him, and this game was completely decided by like a couple of turns on the dice. I had 2 roars that went off, my turn and Craig's first turn, and he had one of his roars definitely failed, but I think both of his roars failed. Yeah. And that was it.
And that's huge.
That was it.
When it's on a more question, it's like I can cascade it for 1 CP. Roar is massive, right?
It's crazy. So he rolled like in my first turn, killed a bunch of stuff. That was always going to happen. Allocated carefully. Didn't target the ward Magmadroth. too much anyway. He didn't use the once a game ability on it, I don't think. He used it in his first turn when he ended up taking like 4 damage as a result or something from 2 cabbages. But most importantly, I roared him, and his 8 rolls to hit with a really damagey character went like 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, and then he failed one of those to wound. So if I hadn't roared him, he would have got, like 6 8s or 7 8s of his attacks through. Got a bunch more wounds. I would have been dead. It would have been huge, and his dice just abandoned him. All those 2s. And my roar meant that his unit in my turn couldn't choose to fight first for CP. Would have been horrific. Would have done a massive amount of damage. Maybe killed the rogue idol because that line was super damagey. And that was basically that at that point. I was all up in his grill, completely like cuddling his army. None of my monsters had died, and that was the difference between it. I would have had 2 dead monsters if rules had gone different ways, and he would have been completely in the game. But it was felt far too swingy. The balls, I have kind of mixed opinions about them in the game, whether they should be there or not.
I think like the problem is it's almost like you need to have it to counter some of the bullshit with stacking saves and command abilities, which make things far too good and reliable. And it's always without completely changing the command ability mechanic, which you can't really do because it's baked into everything, or doing something with save stacking, but then all the points and everything doesn't really work. So it's like, what do you do? And it's like, it's
the same with the monstrous reaction stuff. Like, it feels really silly in my army that 2 more crushers can't inflict impact hits. That there's a way if you take a mount trait, it's like D3 runes or whatever. But not being able, like, it's a great big dragon when it hits stuff.
You can though, can't you? Because you can stomp with one and bulk with the other, or is it a rule that affects stomp? I can't remember.
It's a rule that affects,
because it's not like the great and clean one who gets a belly flop. It's
exactly. So he gets belly flop, but you have to do your roll, and you get 3 extra to your stomp, 2 extra to your stomp.
I didn't really like the destructive bulk change. I did when we looked at it. I did feed that back several times to say that it's just poo now. Can you just do? It
also means that you don't end up getting the. If you charge into this,
it's almost pointless rule, right? Because it never comes
almost impossible. So. Yeah, unless you charge into something with like 3 wounds and no after save that's already been damaged by something else. Couple of things that I discovered by this point. What's covering fire called when you shoot at people who are charging you?
Oh, Unleash Hell.
Yeah, Unleash Hell going off twice with 2 more crushes is twice as good as it going off once. Who would have known? That's wonderful. It's really good. It hits on 2s. So at -1, it hits on 3s. So your 3s and 3s
weird thing. I never thought you'd be Unleash Hell with more crushes.
Hey, they're good. I didn't use redeploy on them once. Probably should have, but I can't think about
redeploy is poo.
Nah,
always roll that. Great. It doesn't make any. You always roll like a 1 or a 2 or something. It's just like...
I didn't get to charge with multiple monsters at any point, but I did get to charge with like 3 units of Ard Boys just to gank something. That was pretty good. Game finished. Smashing and bashing lots again. Greg was awesome. Maybe we can have a slightly less skewed game next time. I don't think he could have really screened. Like this one was on the stream and some people were saying some stuff. I don't think you split your army because I can just go and bully one side of it and it's dead. And then you've lost 50% of your army and I've got 100% of mine that you can't reach because you're slow as hell. So I don't know quite what he could have done instead of, unless he like set up 1 magma drop with a 3-up ward like here and just let 2 things die on the outside. Maybe that could have been okay.
I don't know.
But some 4 wins at that point, slightly confused, and was expecting to face something filthy and horrible in the last round. Toby was kicking about.
You dodged Toby and Steve follows with his KO because they played each other, which is probably good for you.
And really good players. Like Toby and Steve would have outgunned or out.
I think you would have lost to them purely because they are more practiced with the game. Like they're more game ready. And I don't know. I'm not saying that you could have.
Yeah, my army's got the ability to pull stuff out of that. I don't know what KO army does, and I know what Toby's does, and it's filthy. And I don't have Ren 7, so I don't stand a chance. and Toby's an incredible player. It would have been nice to get to play him. He was up at the top getting like 4 clean opponent results whilst smashing them. So, he's a good lad.
Yeah, his army is pretty
it's like
grotesque.
Absolutely smashed out. I ended up playing Duncan with Skaven instead, which is not a great matchup in a game where it's long ways deployment. He deployed. There's a picture. He deployed way back in a corner.
I've got a picture of your 2 like yellow things in the back of his army. I guess that's the picture.
Yeah. So we both deployed way back. The only thing I could do kind of defensively, because he had a load of teleports, was set up hard boys in rows next to gnaw holes, kind of dot my little war chanty characters around, leaving the healing one back and the aggressive 3d6 charge one forward, because he'd need to be doing stuff in the game. And then I had one line of hard boys, like making it so he couldn't be within 3 inches of my cabbage if he popped up with Storfiends and he took the first turn, because he was a 1-drop or a 2-drop. So he was going to get the choice. I thought he was still going to take first turn. Don't know why. I could be wrong in that.
Perhaps he just thought he'd done a good enough job and you're not going to be able to get to him.
Maybe, or maybe he thought it was a bad matchup for him and was just like, I hope I get the double. Anyway, there was one big mistake here that I punished for, which was he left like a Maw Crusher plus 3 inches plus a couple of millimeters hole in his arm. He could have just had a character stood in the middle of it or something. I saw it and was like, that's how I get in.
The Deceiver could have just been stood there, right?
Exactly, yeah. He had the dude with a rocket. He could have been stood there and fine anything. I measured it with the base. And basically, if he got a 4 on a redeploy, he would be good. And if he got 3 or less, he wasn't. So, given where I deployed, I had to, first time in the game, to do something that wasn't chasing after Sylvaneth, hating my life. Teleported one of the cabbages over to put it within range for a more aggressive Mighty Destroyers, 6th run on a War Chanter, give it 3d6 charge, waft the +1, and then it jumped over and got into that. Cleared enough of the back of his base to clear it by like a couple of inches. So one cabbage had travelled, God knows how, probably like 50 inches in total from this side. Teleport over to there. Mighty Destroyers, it's now within range. It moves again. And then the 3d6 charge. He landed in. He did a stand and shoot. Didn't do as much damage as I was expecting off the stand and shoot, because he can do 2 off Thankwall. Scary. And then I just had to my spell had gone off. Everything was in super damage mode with the War Chanter, and I just kind of blasted through Thankwall, 3 Storm Fiends, both units of Clan Rats popped, and a Jezzail. Couldn't touch the monster, and I couldn't get to his little bombardier dude or whatever it was. He had its turn, hit back a bit, and was like, game's over, going to make you fight for it. He certainly did, because he popped Purple Sun on the table. Took off a wounded cabbage. An unwounded cabbage. Shot his Storm Fiends out of the other one, killed that, and then shot it a bit, and then moved his
So what did his Purple Sun kill? Like a cabbage?
Entire cabbage.
And then probably allowed the Storm Fiends to kill the other one because you're -1 save, right?
Yeah, it's stupid spell.
Yeah, got a picture of the sun just in a mode between all 3 of your big things, and that's just super scary.
Scary feelings, right? So the first time he pops out, he killed one of them. It did indeed help. The other one died to the Storm Fiends. They just mullered it completely. It's gone. He had a charge lined up for this Deceiver. Didn't even need to go for it, I don't think. I had my Rogue Idol left, which had a ward, which made me feel slightly better about things. But the Deceiver's like Ren 3 and had Flaming Weapon, and he was getting loads of other spells off and stuff. Outcharged in his turn, went into the Storm Fiends. They died, and then he won priority, and he didn't lose priority for the rest of the game. So how this one went was like, you'd think it'd be over at that point, but it wasn't. I took out his 2 Jezzails, so all he had was the Deceiver, but all I had left on the table, because he killed the Rogue Idol easily with it, was crap. Didn't even have a wizard left. because he teleported over and ran into the wizard. So I had 2 war chanters who were left like 3d6 charging +1 damaging themselves and running into jet oils to kill them. And then Ard boys dotted around. My turn 4 of my final game, I read the battle tactics to do with Galatian veterans or whatever it is. Did one of those.
The first time you had to look at them.
Yeah. And like out of desperation because it was going to be really close. And then at that point, we got to the final turn. He had a 6-inch charge to make with his guy to get him within 1 point of me. He didn't make it, and so I kept my grand strategy, and he didn't get his. And that was that. So another big win, but he made me fight for it. It was that should have been on stream. I felt really bad. They didn't get put on stream because my 2 games have been non-games. that was the most. I kept on going over to tell Alex what was happening. He was like, "Oh, you must have it," and I went back and it was like Purple Sun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the end of that.
Is it the hobby room? That's the stream? Is that the
hobby room or is it Dice and Ducks?
It might be. I don't know, but
I think it's Dice and Ducks. It was great though.
I just started fitting linked to people who want to go watch it. So
we can double check and pop it down. But yeah, that was it. I'd done smashing and bashing. That was a stressy game because I played my tits off because I thought that I would need to.
Yeah.
My head was gone, by that point. Was absolutely knackered, but just ran around with boys into different corners of the table. And I got to, in my turn 3, I had to sit down, take 2 minutes and do some maths. Dunk was knackered as well. And I worked out that if I could get hold 1, hold 2, hold more than you for the next 3 turns and not lose my grand strat, I would win the game. And if I could get my battle tactic for the turn twice, then I couldn't be caught. So just try my best to do that. Got it for 1 of them. So it was all left to play for until turn 4, I think.
Yeah. A good result though.
Yeah.
Well, I quite like the look of his Skaven army. He's got quite interesting basing, so it looked nice.
Really good. All the armies I faced were pretty nice to look at, actually.
I did find it funny. I don't know what round this is. I think this is round 2. There's a What's in the Sun whiteboard that Alex had up, and it's got Thunder Tusk and Huskar, Swamp Donkey, Shaman, Chaos Lord, Mournfang, Nurglin, Chaos Sorcerer, a Cruciator, Reaver, Soulrender, Slimux, a Thrallmaster, Eidolon, Saurus, Astrolov Bearer, a Maw Crusher, Arcan, Great and Clean One, Rotbringer, Sorcerer, Lord of Afflictions. I think some of these are from the same game because the same handwriting in the next to each other.
Yeah.
Crypt Horror, Cruel Boy, Shaman, Battlesmith, Rune Father, Great and Clean One, another Maw Crusher. So I think that was only round 2.
Ridiculous.
The fact that Arcan went down the sun, that's pretty upsetting.
I think one person managed to get 3 Grumble Tusks of various types. Something on a zombie dragon. Don't know whether it was Feck or Vampire Lord. And then a bunch of small characters and a cabbage across the games.
There's a really funny tweet with the guy who lost his Swamp Donkey and all that, and it's got Sean Bean from Sharp giving the finger. so no, it's good. So yeah, I mean, I won't go into super. There's the army nominations are on Alex's feed. If I click on them, you can kind of see them. There's a really nice Ironjawz army with an archway. There's a snow corn army.
Yeah, so the Ironjawz army got technical. The snow army got coolest.
I've got all that in a sec, actually. The results.
Yeah.
Then,
but they're 2 of the ones that won anyway, along with Max.
And Max Saw's amazing army now. He's put it on a lava board. Just makes such a difference.
And he's playing well, and he's playing cleanly, getting votes. So he's doing everything at tip-top level.
I think Neil Peckett's Lizardman looked really nice.
They look legit,
Lizardman, not Seraphon, because that's what we
very solid basing. Yeah.
And then you got Hugh Wilson's. That Dreadsaurian, that's nuts. And he's got his Nasher son. Yeah, it's cool.
The only reason he's not got a display base is because he's rebased everything, and the display base doesn't match at the moment.
And then you obviously like Steve's Soul Blight, which looks really
Beautiful.
cool. And then there's another Death Army. It looks like a Flesh Eater Court army.
It's the Bretonium.
Oh yeah,
one
really
from Just Play that we saw.
It's really good.
With the oil washes. It's freaky. Yes.
Your army, which is looks
except
a little bit lost on the table.
Bottom of the bracket, and it's small as well. A lot of the armies.
It does look small. That's what I was just thinking. It looks really small. So the Silver Nephilis that we spoke about. Now, my personal favourite, it's the Charge of the White Brigade.
It looks brilliant.
It's just insane. I love it.
It's so disciplined.
Percival's such a good painter anyway, but
and it's properly on theme. It's colours that we know work together.
It's green and bone, man. Like you just can't go wrong. Purple. Can't go wrong with that combo. And like,
it looked like
it's just inspired. It's so silly, but the freehand banners are amazing. This has always been his special. Stormcast, he's got really nice freehand banners, so I really like that army. And then there's looks like an ogre army with Rogue Idol in it.
That's brilliant, pretty funky one, yeah.
That might be a conversion for something else, I think.
It's holding the tusks in it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, and he's got a steam tank in there and a herd stone. It's very weird. It's an ogre army, right? So
gorgeous, yeah,
and a lava sun. So yeah, cool, nice mix of armies. And then we'll see you won the event, so well done.
Yeah, thank you.
And look at the results. So first was you, second was Toby, third is Max Saul. So as you said, doing well with gaming. I think he pipped over Max Barton because of soft scores.
Yeah, he got a bunch of clean game
painting and stuff like. I think
and the painting.
Yeah.
Then
technical was Chris Smith. The judges' choice was Lyndon Wedgwood. Best painted voted was Max Saul. Clean game was Kieran Alexander. Sorry, Alexander's not. It's Kieran Alander. Favorite opponent Gareth Johnson, Wooden Spoon, George Bowen. Best in faction non-podium order Luke Churches. Best in faction non-podium chaos was Max Barton. Best in faction non-podium destruction was Trev, who was in our chat group, and that's this one. Best in faction death was Phil Marshall. From the Ashes was Phil Marshall, which I'm not sure what From the Ashes is, but
best placed of the old books.
Oh, is it? Okay, I thought that was Underdog.
Right there, From the Ashes.
I don't know what For the Ashes is, but
yeah.
Underdog first is Tom Bell, second is James Field, and third is Mike Wilding. So I don't know what From the Ashes is. It wasn't there. So we got the standings, so you can see the standings here. But Phil Marshall came well. I predicted he'd do well. Max Saul, Toby. So
whereas Luke, my round 2 opponent ended up doing pretty well, I think.
Is that Luke Churches?
Yeah.
Fourth.
Yeah.
So, but like I say, when you look at the actual standings, if you took just pure gaming, it was Byron, Toby, Max, Phil, Simon, Max. So Max jumped from 6th to 2nd. That's 6th to 3rd, sorry.
Third. Yeah, just a little bit of a shuffle at the end.
And then I think Luke was 14th and he jumped to 4th. So says you how big a difference the soft scores make. Not criticism, just interesting. But like, even like Kieran got 10 points for clean game and fave player as well. He got 2 votes there because they're 2 points a vote, aren't they? Obviously didn't get a patent norm. If he did, he would have been up there. So it's an interesting mix, like to see where people finish up. But yeah, it looks super good. I was pretty gutted not to be there, to be honest.
Normal A1 event. Alex puts his all into it. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm super pleased that Alex is going to be helping us with the FACEHAMMER. So he's got some work that he's going to do for us leading up, and he'll be running a quiz, stuff like that. So yeah, it's good. I was gutted I missed it. Honestly, the train disruption was enough to be a pain in the ass, but then on top of that, getting COVID, so
you're definitely not allowed. Yeah,
but there'll be other events, I'm sure. So I think he's already probably sold out for May, but I've got my ticket already. So and then I pretty much go to everyone that he does because it's like
you and Joe said to him today, like just like default, I'm in. tell me when to spend money.
Yeah, because it's like, for me, like, it's enough Warhammer for me now, whether to kind of take a little bit of a backseat to it because I can't go to loads. I know like the Warhammer World ones are cool. They're just a bit of a pain for me to go to because of transport and stuff, and then
the temperature and noise there.
Yeah,
and also like I have to have Monday off after a Warhammer World event, otherwise the week doesn't go well.
Yeah, so super good. Well done. Nice to represent. It's been a while since you've podiumed.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt kind of like when I was doing well ages ago. You had that feeling where even if stuff went not great, it kind of balanced out afterwards. It didn't feel like bad luck. And I had that feeling pretty much in all the events that I did well at when I was smashing it. And after probably game 2, it just kind of felt like that. Even the Marathi one, I was like, oh, poo. I'm pooped. And I was like, oh, 3 wounds. Oh, 3 wounds.
Yeah. And suddenly she, like, once she's in that bracket, suddenly it's very manageable.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I think what you say about needing that, like, rub of the green, that's always been the case. But, like, you could go to an event and then you kind of need those little bits, and I think when you reflect back on stuff, it's easy to see where it could have gone wrong.
Yeah, I'm not taking a poo army as well. You know, like I wasn't taking Slanesh.
No, exactly. And although I wouldn't say your army's particularly like top tier, it's still strong. You know, it's cohesive. It works.
It does
modern. It works. You know, so it's interesting that I don't know how you found all the veterans battle tactics backhanders, but I think your army almost, because it doesn't really have them anyway, it kind of doesn't play into it. So people who've invested in stuff like bounty hunters, suddenly it doesn't matter because you got 3 minimum size, you do hard boys, so
and they're going to
do anything.
Pooped when they get hit anyway, if they are hit by them. I definitely should have used harder battle tactics sooner, including ones from the book. And stuff like that. There was a couple, especially my final game when I was kind of searching for stuff to do, which is when I used the Glacian Veterans one. I could have done some stuff earlier, like kill it with your general or something that. Would have been sensible. But yeah, the main thing that I did badly was not preparing for the next turns. It's just lucky that I'd killed so much. But
I think in this tournament as well, because you've got the other secondaries and they're kind of the tiebreaker, you're not worried about completing a battle tactic every turn, because as long as you win the game, it doesn't matter. So it's interesting. I get it's a good approach, I think, because like you say, there's so much like stuff going on in the new edition.
Much bagginess. I can't. Yeah, like my first 2 round opponents in particular were super nice enough to essentially demo me the game. I needed it, but I won't play an army that. My army's effectively got 2 war scrolls after turn 1.
Yeah.
And I won't be playing a tech army again. This is what's required, I feel, as a minimum for me to be able to enjoy.
Because I think even when you were playing like your mixed order, and there was a list variant, you went down the route of taking like Null route and like wizards and casting loads of spells to get the Phoenix. And I think that was too much. I think you took to the Masters when we played. But I think that was too much. Because you were struggling
reversing that one and just like pop up fire slayers afterwards.
Yeah, and I think it's playing to your strengths, right? So like
just like doing 2 things well.
Well, no, because you're good at like movement and space and things like that, and rather than like techie combos like like the old Sylvaneth.
I like not having options on spells and stuff.
Yeah,
like exactly. Like which one of these 3 do I pick or stuff. It's much easier to know I've got the option for this, or it's Mystic Shield, or it's Bolt.
Yeah, so I think it was a good move. I mean, obviously it paid off for you, so super well done. So I was very pleased to hear that you were. I didn't want to message you and jinx you because I could see that like Alex was like, oh, I think Byron might be on table 1, and he's doing that well. And I was thinking, oh god, I don't want to message and say anything. You know what I mean? I'll curse you from. And give you the Corona curse or something.
Check my phone afterwards. And
then you just play a game where Purple Sun. I mean, like you did the last game. If you rolled like another one on one of those other models and 2 dropped down the sun, you just lost, right?
I had a War Chanter that survived 4 or 5 rolls after the turn where he wiped out other stuff, and if it hadn't have survived it, it wouldn't have been in that quarter of the table.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. Luke Morton sent me a congratulations champ at the end of round 4, which luckily I didn't see to jinx me.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not good. No, super well done. So that was Carnage. So yeah, so I was interested to see how Craig was going to get on with the OBR. He obviously got 2 wins, 3 losses, and came sort of like bottom 3rd. But yeah, interesting. I saw his Arkham was sunned off, so it's not going to be a good day. I mean, like especially when you've got bonuses to unbind and stuff, you just think, oh, really? Should have played Null Myriad, mate.
Some rules that no one knows how to interpret.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. No, it's a bit of a damning indictment. I know I've taken Purple Sun, but you know, when in Rome, I really hope they sort it out because it's such a shit experience, isn't it? So,
it felt mental. Like it's almost too powerful without the ability to pop stuff in down the hole. Like the Ren thing's nuts.
Well, the Ren thing's like enough, right?
Oh, completely for 100 points. Like it's crazy.
It's 70 points. So
I know.
Why not?
Like it could go up and just do that, and that would still be nuts. Like in the right combo armies, it's absolutely crazy. And you know when you've got Banquil blobbing around and doing crazy stuff as well.
Yeah, rattling guns suddenly become extremely scary.
They certainly do. Or your Ren 3 Vermin Ward Receiver with Flaming Weapon and 1 billion attacks.
Yeah.
Or your Storm Fiends, which are hitting on 2s and winning on 2s.
Yeah. It's
or more warp power.
Yeah. I mean Anyway, it is what it is at the moment. But yeah, I think I'm a bit disappointed I wasn't there because I wanted to see what the kind of reaction to the handbook was and like what people were playing and how people felt about it. But yeah,
it's pretty consistent. People know the Purple Sun's stupid whether they're taking it or not. People feel fairly overloaded. Quite a lot going on. I don't know how the mid tables were or the lower tables, but I'd imagine there was probably the most accidental misplays or misrememberings going on.
Yeah, I think the problem I find is that you play a lot of games. You probably find that how many games you play where you actually get everything right is probably in the 5%.
Yeah,
you know, like because there's so much going on every turnover, so many rules and so many things that there's always going to be something you miss. And you probably don't even realize it's been missed. No. You know, like people with the Incubatch, for example, on Lord of Afflictions, they never roll for because you just don't forget remember it at all. Because you could have got to roll it for yourself in your turns, even though you're not near the enemy. It's weird. It's like a weird thing. But anyway, cool. So that was Carnage. So I guess that's it. But yeah, but I'd say thanks for watching the show, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed that. And we'll have a show coming out soon where we talk about the FACEHAMMER pack, which has been finalised.
I've got some pretty big stuff. There's also we had a little chat pre. There's some very cool stuff. I'm quite excited to share with people.
Yeah, so I want to kind of fundamentally change battle tactics and formations and grand strategies because I just don't really like what they do to the game. Like see load
a third of the armies taking the same spell, the same artifact. You know.
Yeah, it's we don't really want to see only Arcane Tome and 35% of the armies with Purple Sun and things like that. It just seems a bit silly.
Joe P came up to me after one of the rounds and just said, like, just had a game Warhammer. Every single turn, I did a battle strategy that my opponent could do nothing about, and it didn't matter what I killed or what he killed. I won the game.
Because you can't stop. You've got like a toolbox of stuff you can do. You pick one, they don't get to do anything to stop it because it's automatic, and that wins you the game. And they're like, well, how is that a tactic? How is that?
No wonder soft scores end up coming into it, right?
Yeah.
Because the people who do well are like 1, 2, 3, 4, generally 5, and majored, you know, and this.
I just really hate that when you pick a battle tactic, they can't stop it, and you just score it, and it's like, well, what's fun or interactive about that?
Yeah, under the system, it was, you know, it ended up with people getting 40 nils. It's like it would be nice to hit a much wider variety of them. Like being a good gamer doesn't mean you win everything maximum.
No.
You know, like you get this with Magic. A good player has like a 50-60% win rate in either of those, and if you're over 70, you're a god. Like, yeah, to be smashing everything.
No, exactly. But anyway, hopefully we can do something to alleviate that.
I think we definitely can. If there's anything that feels so stupid it shouldn't exist, it probably won't exist in that format. People can be confident in that.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'll do a show on that soon. I know I said the pack would be out in August, and we're almost at the end, so it will be out at the end of the month, for sure. So yeah, but thanks for watching, everyone. And if you want to pick up your objective markers, they're in stock, so you can go to Element, get those. That helps us out. And yeah, hopefully we'll be a bit more recordy when I'm not coughing my guts out and feeling ill.
Absolutely. The moment the pack's live as well, if people want to run it or play under it and send us feedback, we are well open to that. We'd like to invite people too, because the idea isn't that we're just going to put this out for our event. Of course, we're going to use it for our event, but if other people want to use it for their events, then that would be amazing too.
Yeah,
because I want to play under it.
Yeah, me too. But I always do that when I run an event. I just run a pack that I want to play in. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for watching. We'll catch you all in the next one.
Thanks, Ross. Thanks for surviving.
That's all right. Bye.